was born in a shack made of mud and wood. 20 other people hanging from one spoon. There was no water and the money was rare. At times were hard even to say a prayer.
During the mid-1800s, the good citizens of Beaver County faced a dilemma: to aid in the capture and return of runaway slaves traversing their land, or to risk their personal property and safety, and in some cases, their lives, to shepherd runaways through the county's fields and creeks on an uneven path to freedom. This is the story of the choices that were made and Beaver County's station in the Underground Railroad. In the mid-19th century, the invention of the cotton gin and the proliferation of slavery bolstered the Southern economy. By contrast, brave abolitionists believed it was their duty to preserve human rights and to safely see the runaway slaves through their towns, fields, and farms. This series of safe houses is known today as the Underground Railroad. Beaver County was a natural wayside for runaways for several distinct reasons. Arthur Bullis Bradford spread the word about Beaver County's station in lectures throughout the North. Beaver County's Quakers and First Presbyterians were ardent abolitionists, and the Ohio and Beaver Rivers provided a natural route for runaways. Runaways hid by day and ran by night, oftentimes running through creeks to throw off the constant pursuit of bloodhounds. Runaways making their way into southern Beaver County from Washington County were afforded refuge at the Nelson House, home of James Nelson, an ardent Presbyterian abolitionist. From southern Beaver County, runaways traveled north, where they forded the Ohio River near Vanport and made their way to the next station, an old hotel in Bridgewater. Richard Gardner, a fugitive slave, lived in Beaver and preached to a Methodist congregation in Bridgewater. He was lured to a landing one day and was captured by a federal agent and returned to slavery in Kentucky. The citizens of Beaver were so outraged by Mr. Gardner's plight, they raised $600 to purchase his freedom. It took 2 years, but he was returned to his family in Beaver, where he lived out his life as a free man. In New Brighton, Quakers were among the first to provide safety and sustenance to runaways. The Townsends, New Brighton's founding family, helped to keep the Underground Railroad rolling. Edward Townsend built a trap door to his cellar. Benjamin Townsend accessed a cave on Penn Avenue and Allegheny Road. And David Townsend provided his grist mill on the Beaver River, all to shelter fleeing runaways. A secret room was discovered at the William Penn Townsend House that provided refuge to as many as 10 fugitives at a time. The Townsends also employed a false-bottomed wagon to transfer runaways from one safe house to the next. Sarah Clark Lippincott, an ardent abolitionist, furthered the anti-slavery message in her many published articles in the New York Times. Abraham Lincoln referred to her as the Little Patriot, and her white cottage home still stands in New Brighton today. A self-guided walking tour of the Underground Railroad in New Brighton details the borough's many contributions. From New Brighton, there were 2 runaway routes, either north to Newcastle or west to Darlington. In Darlington, Arthur Bullis Bradford hid dozens of runaways at his delightful home dubbed Buttonwood before they continued their flight. Bradford once rode to the rescue of a safe house owner at the Dothat's Inn in Enon Valley. A mob stood poised to murder the Dothat family until Bradford stood them down with a rifle in hand, determined to shoot the first man who moved on the inn. Upon the mob's disbursement, Bradford discovered that his rifle was filled with mud from wasps and would have been useless had the mob made good on their intention. Several other homes in Darlington featured hidden rooms that concealed countless runaways, and a self-guided walking tour of Darlington's contribution to the Underground Railroad is also available. From Richmond to Mobile, Beaver County's benevolence became a whispered legend. Runaways sought the confluence of the Ohio and Beaver Rivers, knowing that a kind hand, a warm meal, clean clothing, and a safe haven was theirs for the asking. Frederick Douglass, himself a former slave, visited New Brighton to speak about slavery. His speeches about his personal journey resonate today as they did nearly 2 centuries ago.
The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, that the distance between me and the slave plantation from which I escaped is considerable, and the difficulties to be overcome in getting from the former to the latter are by no means slight. But let the religious press, the pulpit, the Sunday school, the missionaries, and the Bible array their immense power against slavery and slaveholding and the entire system of blood and pain can be scattered to the wind.
Beaver County citizens united to make Douglass's prophecy a reality. And Beaver County stations in the Underground Railroad will always be a proud chapter in our storied history.